Today, how to escape a really strong, really heavy, and really tight side control. So I get questions all the time. I get questions emailed to me, Instagram to me, Facebook to me, YouTube commented to me, tweeted to me. And I think the most common question is probably, what do I do against this big guy in class who's heavier than me, 20 pounds, 30 pounds, 40 pounds heavier than me. And when he gets me in side control, it's over. He just squishes me. And it's a legitimate problem. And everybody has this. When somebody who's really good at side control locks it in, you're kind of screwed for a while. Now, there are different escapes, right? So you get your hands into position, you can bridge and hip escape, you get your arms into position, you can turn onto your leg. There are all kinds of things you can do, but all of it's either very low percentage or wishful thinking until you get back into good position. If I'm here and Richie's got my head and he's putting pressure on my face with his shoulder, you can be meaner than that, and he's got me twisted up here and this arm isn't in a useful position and this arm isn't in a useful position, it can't really push, it can't really pull, it can't do anything, there aren't very many escapes that I can do. My first, my second, my third priority here isn't the escape. My priority first is getting my arms back into position. And that's what we're going to spend the rest of the video on. Not so much the escapes, because there are lots of videos on YouTube about escaping side mount, my own included. I'll link them up in the description and in that little I button that appears in the top right hand side. But getting from here to here, that could take, in a 2-minute escape, that could take 1 minute and 50 seconds. You might be fighting here, fighting for an inch, he gets an inch back, you get another inch, he puts you in another situation. Finally you get to here, and now you escape. So getting to decent position can be the whole battle. So what do you do when the guy's really locked on? Like he's putting pressure here, he's brought his knee up so this arm's out of play. Maybe he's driving into me, my hips are rolling a little bit this way. How do I recover arm position? I'll show you a couple, then Rich will show you a couple, and then you can go play with those setups and whatever escapes you like. So one basic way to get back to position here is I'm going to try clubbing him in the armpit with this arm and trapping this arm here while bridging. This is not an escape. If he's completely idiotic, it might take him over. But realistically, this isn't going to result in an escape. So I'm going to lift my legs up, I'm going to plant them close to him, and do this. So, there, and bridge. If he rolls over, well, I have no business letting him have passed my guard initially. But you see here, now I can bring my hand back into position here. If I'm really lucky, maybe I can even get my other hand into the armpit here. Now he's going to reset, and we're going to fight here, but my hands are in a better position than they were. They're not here anymore. So once again, I'm here. I'm going to lift my legs up. I'm going to get my hands ready. I'm going to bridge and chop. There. Hand in place. Hand in place. Now he's going to settle back and squish me, but now my hands are between him and I. Now there's probably enough room to start my other escapes. Now, Richie, you're really difficult to hold down.
Well, thank you. I do what I can.
So what are your ways when I'm training with you, or somebody else training with you?
I mean, you nailed it in the sense that it's going to be tough for anybody, and everybody winds up in that position. And if you're not finding yourself in that position, then you're not rolling when you're super tired, and you're not training with a high level training partners. But I mean, the key thing is you're right. You want to get your hands back into the original position. So it's largely the same as what you do. So Stefan, when you have me trapped in like this, right? What I basically like to go either side to side. I kind of just test the waters, right? But you see how I use my feet, and then you see how I'll bridge out, and then I bridge back in. I bridge out, and then I go back in. And eventually, I find just enough space to be able to get maybe my knee on the inside. Now, that was just what happened with me and Stefan. Did I really want my hands back in? For sure I did. For sure I did. But it was just the way that we were doing this, and his upper body was so strong, but Stefan's got a long torso. and I was able to get my shin on the inside, just the crest of my shin, and I was able, that's just enough for me to maybe be able to go and pry this apart and align my body again, and that's just kind of what happened. However, if Stefan was maybe like 30 pounds lighter, we're here, and you see how I'm bringing my feet to the one side and to the other side, and you see how I'm pretending that the floor is hot, right? So you start bumping, and I bump, and I bump, and I bump, and you see how I'm able to get my hand back on the inside here. Once I get it in here, I keep the momentum going, where maybe I bump out, but you see how all it is just to go and create that counter weight with Stefan. I bump this way, so that way he'll want to draw his way back, and then it just makes it magically easier. Also, sometimes you get somebody smashing you from their shoulder really, really tight into your jaw. A little bit of rocking forward and back, like to me, forward and back this way sometimes helps. So sometimes people overcommit. Thank you so much, Stefan. They commit really high. So from here, do you see how maybe I'm using my hips, but do you see how I'm garnering momentum with my legs? And then that momentum translates into my upper body, so you need to have a strong core in order to do this. A great exercise to do when you're at home, you know, like, you know, when you're on your face, you're lying on the floor, you're just scrolling through your Facebook feed. Do this exercise here. Really, really strange, right? But you see how I'm curling my hips underneath me. I have flexion through the torso. I'm pointing my toes. I'm rocking, right? But it will help you with jiu-jitsu. It will help you do sweeps, and it'll help you escape from the bottom position when you're in bottom cross side. So a little bit of forward and back action and some side to side action. We're looking to get those hands back in. Yeah.
So it's all different ways of getting movement back in the game and getting your hands back into position. So the first you generate movement, then you put your knee in, and that gave you just enough room to get your hands into position.
I think you're correct, Stefan. I think the main thing is that you want that movement, you want that momentum when you're on bottom. For the person on top, they want stability. They want to staple. Momentum. Yeah, you want to kill momentum. Absolutely. The person on top wants to staple gun those shoulders to the ground. And so you need to go and garner that momentum. And for many of us, that's the hardest part. Right? One, we forget. Two, it's tough because it takes so much energy to do. Right? And when you're tired and you have somebody who's bigger, stronger, heavier, younger, better looking, you know, on top of you, it's really tough. Right?
Sit-ups are hard enough to do without trying to separate your upper body from your lower body.
Oh, exactly. So.